Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Theme Park Society, a place where we talk about guest experiences in our favorite destinations with a special focus on Hershey Park in Hershey, Pennsylvania, and Walt Disney World in Florida. On today's episode, we are taking a virtual trip down to Epcot in Walt Disney World, and we invite you to come along. But before we jump into the episode, we would like to ask that you would please subscribe to us on whatever platform you are tuning in to this episode on. Then, find us on Instagram by searching Theme Park Society, give us a follow, and join us in the parks virtually throughout the year. We don't really say this often, but subscribing to us on YouTube and leaving comments and reviews on podcast platforms and Instagram and things like that really helps our show grow. So please feel free to go ahead and do some of those actions. You know, if these episodes bring value to you, if this show brings no value to you, then I completely understand if you just bypass that altogether and turn the show off. But, you know, we have tons more content coming your way. So whatever you think, whatever you want to do, we invite you to do so. So, like I mentioned in the introduction to this episode, we are going to be taking a virtual trip down to Epcot at Walt Disney World, and we are super excited for this episode. This was a creative one. This took a lot of planning, this took a lot of thought, and this took a lot of decisions. Basically, what we're going to do is we are going to replicate the Hershey Park episode that we had recently where we could only choose one. So basically what we do is we select categories within the park, so things like food, attractions, shows, things like that, and we can only choose one thing from each category within that park. So obviously today we are going to do Epcot. Now, we broke this down into 5 different categories, so 5 different things where we can only choose one. We have quick service, we have a table service, we have an attraction, a shop, and then a place to relax. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at all 5 of these categories and choose one thing from Epcot. Now, I would like to point out the same thing that I pointed out in the Hershey Park episode, that these decisions I'm making are based on my feelings today. There are tons of great restaurants in Epcot, tons of great attractions, tons of great shops, things like that. So basically, I am outlining this episode as if I was entering the park today. These choices could change tomorrow, they could be the same tomorrow. Basically, I am just approaching this as if I was planning a day in the park right now. There's tons of great food in Epcot, there's tons of great attractions, tons of great shops, so it could always change. That's the fun thing about these episodes, is it's a good chance to get really creative with a day in the park, and that's what we're going to do today. So let's talk about the order of the categories that we are going to be looking at today. We're going to be approaching it as if we were entering the park at around lunchtime and then staying until dinner time. So this could be a plan for a day. It would include a lot of walking around, a lot of backtracking, but the order in which I selected these categories makes sense for a day in the park. So the 5 categories that we have in which we can only choose one at Epcot are as follows. 1. Quick service. 2. Shop. 3. Attraction. 4. Relax, like a place where we can just kind of chill out for a little bit. And then 5. A table service. All right, so let's look at our first category in Epcot where we can only choose one. This category is going to be quick service. This was a tough one. As you probably know, Epcot is known for its food. Whether it be table service, quick service, snacks, anything like that, you can find something great at Epcot. So choosing a quick service was a tough one, but I had to go with the Tangerine Cafe in the Morocco Pavilion. Now, I've eaten at Tangerine Cafe plenty of times, and I am always thrilled whenever it becomes lunchtime, and that's where I'm headed. The food is great. The serving sizes are large. There's tons of seating, whether you choose indoor seating or outdoor seating. A nice thing about the indoor seating is it is kind of open air, so that's kind of cool too. A nice place to get out of the rain if it's raining around lunchtime. But again, Tangerine Cafe definitely took the win for me tonight. Now, I will say that the menu at this location is not very large. You are going to be getting wraps. There's a vegetable platter. You have your kids menu, of course, which is pretty standard. You get like a hamburger, potato chips, things like that. But the food is very good and the serving sizes are pretty large at this location. So again, not tons of options to choose from, but when you get the food, it tastes great and there's tons of food on your plate. Prices are good, a lot of seating, so Tangerine Cafe was my choice for the quick service option in Epcot for the day. Now, the next category we have is shop, which comes right after lunch. So get your quick service meal and then head to a store. Now, I enjoy shopping particularly at Epcot because there's tons of different types of shops. So again, this was kind of a tough one, which I guess you can kind of say at any park because I really enjoy doing most things at all of the parks, but we had to choose one place to shop at Epcot. So we're going to move one pavilion over from Morocco, we're going to go to Japan, and we're going to shop at Mitsukoshi. This shop is massive. You can get everything from collectibles to books to posters to clothing to snacks to drinks and just you name it. It's a great shop. Tons of great things to look at. Tons of colors, super bright, a lot of energy. There is always people in this shop, but that's because it is such an experience. Now, I've definitely purchased a couple of items from here. I think the last thing I bought was a poster, if I remember correctly. But again, there is just tons of cool stuff at this shop. So Mitsukoshi, it is right under those massive stairs in the Japan Pavilion. It's a great place to walk through. Like I said, it's a massive shop, so you can really spend a lot of time here, but there's just so much to look at. So whether you're going to actually make a purchase or you just want to see some of the cool merchandise that they sell, this is the place to go. You know, Epcot really does have some cool shops throughout the entire park, but this one is just so large that it is such an experience within itself. So Mitsukoshi, that's the one place that I'm going to choose to shop at my one day in the park. This could change tomorrow, but right now I would just be so excited to go into that store. I would be so excited to look around, and I would like to buy something right now. Mitsukoshi, that's going to be my choice for one shop at a day at Epcot. Okay, so the next category we are going to look at is attractions. I can only choose one, and this one was not as difficult as the other categories. I chose Soarin'. Soarin' is one of my favorite attractions of all time, so it had to be my pick for the day. Now, I will say that the return on investment in terms of ride time could have been better with another attraction. Soarin' is about a 6-minute ride, whereas Living with the Land is like 13, 14 minutes. Spaceship Earth is about 14 minutes. I don't know. Soarin' is not an extremely long attraction in terms of minutes that you're actually riding, but it is such a great experience. I love everything from the smells to the soundtrack to the pavilion that the attraction is in. I love the Land Pavilion, so if I chose Soarin', I get an opportunity to visit the Land Pavilion, which is not currently on my you can only choose one day. So that was another benefit to choosing Soarin'. Soarin' typically is my first attraction of the day when I enter Epcot. I usually get there early in the morning and I will just go straight to Soarin'. It's usually a very short wait at that point, but waiting in that queue, even though there's not much to see, is still just a great experience because I love the soundtrack that's playing in the background. I love the soundtrack when you're on the ride. And like I said, it's just a great experience. For me, it's usually how I start my day at Epcot. A lot of people tend to go straight to Spaceship Earth, which is a great attraction, but it's not usually my first attraction of the day. I go straight to Soarin', I go to the Land Pavilion, and I have a great time. So Soarin', you're going to have to be my one choice for you can only choose one at Epcot. Let's move into category 4, which is relax. So I can only choose one place in the park to relax. Now, I usually tend to relax a little bit later on in the day, so that's why this kind of falls towards the end of my timeline for the day. We're looking at the end of the day here, right before a sit-down dinner, right before a table service. So a good place to relax for me would be the Canada Pavilion. Now, I'm not talking about the main part where you have the trading post. I'm talking about the actual back parts of the pavilion. Now, if you actually go up the stairs past the trading post, there's usually benches that are open because people don't really go up to this spot. Now, sometimes people will walk up the stairs and then just turn around, but usually you don't see people sitting on these benches. Now, I will say that there's not a whole lot of shade up there, so sometimes when you're sitting on the benches, depending on the time of day, you could just be sitting in the sun, but this is my go-to spot to relax when it comes to Epcot, so this category, this choice is not likely to change day to day, but there's a lot of great places to just sit and enjoy the environment in Epcot, but I have to say that this is going to be my number one choice. Canada is just a great place to relax. It's kind of a quiet pavilion in the World Showcase. I really like the architecture there. I like that it's quiet. I like that it kind of takes you out of the park element when you go to the back of the pavilion, just because it's extra quiet. There's no crowds. You really don't see any other part of the park when you're up there, so it really feels like you're somewhere else when you are in the back of the Canada Pavilion. So this is definitely going to be my choice for You Can Only Choose One Relax. Now, there's also a beautiful section of gardens in the Canada Pavilion, especially if you are there during Flower and Garden. But it's beautiful year-round, so definitely take that into consideration when you're looking for a nice, quiet pavilion to walk around and just kind of relax for a little bit. Now, a lot of people forget, but there is a Kid Cot Fun Station all the way in the back of the Canada Pavilion. However, it is not up the stairs. It is down behind the gardens in a way. Like I said, a lot of people forget about it. I don't know if it's just because a lot of people start the World Showcase in Mexico and are kind of tired by the time they reach Canada, or whatever the reason may be. A lot of people just forget that Kid Cot station is there, but it is. It's behind the gardens. It's a beautiful walk to get there, so keep that in mind. So this is our choice of a place to relax in Epcot, and this category is not likely to change. Typically, when I'm in Epcot, Canada is a pavilion that I go to relax in. I enjoy the shop, I enjoy the environment, I enjoy the garden, I enjoy everything in Canada, but I particularly love the fact that it is just such a beautiful pavilion to relax in, to enjoy the architecture, and to just kind of sit down and take it all in. So this pavilion is a great place to spend some time. So now we are on the last category of You Can Only Choose One in Epcot, and this is a big one. This is one table service restaurant, and I chose Coral Reef in the Seas with Nemo and Friends Pavilion. So this was definitely a tough one, especially because we have some newer restaurants that I have not yet been to, but I had to choose Coral Reef, and one of the reasons that I chose it is simply due to the fact that I haven't been there in a while, and that it is in the Seas with Nemo and Friends Pavilion, which we have not yet visited for the day. So this restaurant is a great place for seafood, but you can also get steak and chicken here. So there's definitely something for everyone. There's obviously the kids menu, and the environment is just great. From any seat that you have in this restaurant, you can see the aquarium around you. And if you're lucky, you will get a seat right up against the glass. Now, again, I have not been here in quite some time, which is another reason why I chose this restaurant, because I really couldn't even tell you what I ate the last time I was here. It was just so long ago. But I would be excited to get back here. Now, one thing I will say about this location is that reservations are typically a little bit easier to get in this location, especially with the opening of some new restaurants in Epcot. I would advise that you get a reservation as early as possible if you do plan on eating here, but if it becomes a last-minute thing, there is a good chance that you will be able to eat here the day that you enter the park if you have not planned for it previously. One thing I will say is that this restaurant can get a little bit on the loud side. I think a lot of that just has to do with the fact that you are surrounded by glass, but again, it's a great experience. The food is good. The environment is very, very cool. The views are phenomenal. And it's just in a pavilion that, like I said, we have not had the chance to enter yet according to our You Can Only Choose One Day schedule. So I chose Coral Reef. I plan on eating there at some point soon, but again, Epcot is full of great table service restaurants, so it was hard to choose one. But Coral Reef is the winner for today, and we will have to choose something different next time. So that closes out all 5 categories of our episode on You Can Only Choose One at Epcot. This episode was super fun to make. It was a bit of a challenge, but we are very glad that you joined us. So, with that being said, we would love to know what your choices would be for these categories. So leave us a comment on our YouTube video and let us know what you would choose for your one pick in Epcot. Now, with all this being said, we really appreciate you tuning in. And again, we would just like to stress how much it helps our show grow if you subscribe to us on YouTube or a podcast platform or anything like that. I'm not going to keep talking about that because I know you don't want to hear it, but I just wanted to let you know that we do appreciate it if you choose to do so. Again, we have tons of great content coming your way. We're headed to Six Flags this weekend, so we're going to bring you some more content from there. And we'll continue with the Disney World content as well as Hershey Park, as those are our two main features. So thanks for listening to Theme Park Society, and we'll talk again real soon.